Chairman of the Committee on Homeland Security.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ambassador, thank you so much for being here today. I certainly don't envy your position, and it must be a very challenging job, to say the least. And we wish you the best. I've always had some fundamental concerns about the premise in general, and that is that we could ever negotiate with the Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah, in good faith to give up his nuclear weapons program. Call me a skeptic, but I think we have to have a healthy amount of skepticism going into this process, as I'm sure you do. They are a state sponsor of terrorism. The right to enrich uranium violates 6 UN Security Council resolutions. The Ayatollah is now demanding, I think, 190,000 centrifuges. That's 10 times the number that Tehran currently possesses. I don't understand that. We don't address the military dimensions with respect to ICBM capabilities, which we've been told they could have by the year 2015. And so I just several concerns. I mean, I think I asked Secretary Kerry this question. I mean, I think fundamentally what you want is for them to give up their enrichment program altogether, and then we could provide that to them if it's truly a peaceful nuclear program. What are the chances of that?
Well, thank you, Congressman. I agree that the best road for Iran, from our perspective, is that they have no enrichment program whatsoever. They will never get rid of their capability because they've already mastered the nuclear fuel cycle. And once someone has learned how to do something, you can't sort of take it out of their brain. So, quite frankly, even if we, took military action, got rid of all their facilities, dismantled everything, got rid of everything, they could rebuild it again because they know how to do so. So what we have to do is figure out a way to ensure that they have no pathway to a nuclear weapon. So no way to get highly enriched uranium to then turn it into a bomb and then put it on a delivery mechanism and deliver it. No way to have a plutonium pathway. No way to have a covert facility. And that's what we're attempting to do here. Part of that is indeed addressing the possible military dimensions of their program, to have access by the IAEA to those sites where we want to make sure there aren't undeclared facilities. All of that will have to be part of this agreement. And finally, you are right to be skeptical. I am skeptical. The President is skeptical. He has said 50-50. The Secretary has said, others have said, as was mentioned earlier, no deal is better than a bad deal.
I certainly agree with that.
That's what we're trying to do here.
And I think everyone agrees with that assumption. I don't see, there's not one single centrifuge dismantled, not one single kilogram of enriched uranium being stopped, and nothing to dismantle the heavy water reactor, which former administration official called it a plutonium bomb factory. This question has been asked twice, and I don't know. Well, there are 2 questions I have in the limited time I have. One is, I know you want to be optimistic, but if November comes and goes and there's no agreement, what will this administration do?
This administration will have had ongoing consultations with the United States Congress, with our partners around the world, and we will all make the best judgment we can about what we need to do next.
Well, I would argue, Mr. Chairman, that sanctions would be certainly appropriate, the ones that we passed out of the House. And then second one, what assurances we have lifted in terms of these sanctions, between $6 to $7 billion in frozen assets, and the extension of this negotiation frees up another $2.8 billion. What assurances do we have that this freed up money is not going to fund the rockets that Hamas is firing into Israel?
Congressman, Iran, as others have noted, is the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world today, and has been for quite some time. It has supported Hezbollah. It has supported Hamas. It did so long before we entered into the negotiations that led to the Joint Plan of Action. It has continued to do so. The funds that are being made available to Iran in the course of the Joint Plan of Action, now in the extended Joint Plan of Action, their assets, there are no safe harbors regarding that money. The sanctions that we have, the efforts that we have to disrupt Iran's provision of material support to Hezbollah, to Hamas, remain as intense as ever. And so we will not ease off one iota in trying to ensure that Iran does
So just so I can clarify, so none of the money is freed up by the lifting of sanctions are going to fund rockets to go into Israel.
Congressman, I cannot give you that guarantee. What I can guarantee you, however, is that we will do everything in our power to disrupt Iran's support for terrorism around the world and continue.
Well, I hope we all know what we're dealing with here. Thank you.
Brian Higgins of New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year when Hassan Rouhani was running for president, he was one of 6 candidates. He was viewed as the reform candidate